Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to zero in on something really vital, vitamin B12.
Yeah, absolutely essential.
We're using a local guide from Blood Test UK as our source today. They've done some great work focusing on testing and prevention, especially for places like Congleton. So our mission really is to quickly get across why B12 testing matters so much for you, what the science actually says about symptoms, and crucially, why catching things early is such a big deal.
It really is. And we need to stop thinking of B12 or Cobalamin, as its technical name, as just another vitamin on the shelf. It's fundamental. Its main jobs are, well, basically two big ones. Helping make the DNA for your red blood cells, that's what stops anemia, and, maybe even more critically, keeping that fatty protective coat, the myelin sheath, around your nerves healthy.
Ah, the myelin sheath, okay.
Yeah, if that breaks down, things can start to go wrong pretty fast.
That really puts that feeling of just being tired into a different light, doesn't it? So let's unpack who's really at risk. The Blood Test UK guide mentions that even in communities like Congleton, where you might assume diets are pretty standard, certain groups really struggle.
Spot on. The main groups are, well, fairly well known. Strict vegetarians and vegans, obviously, because B12 mainly comes from animal products.
Suck meat, fish, dairy.
Exactly. Then you've got older adults. As we age, we naturally produce less stomach acid, and that's needed to release B12 from food.
Okay.
But here's a really key thing the guide stresses. It's often about absorption. Even if you eat plenty of B12-rich foods, you might not be absorbing it properly.
So malabsorption. That's interesting. For listeners maybe dealing with things like celiac disease or Crohn's, why does the gut have such a hard time grabbing onto this nutrient?
Well, B12 needs a special helper molecule. It's called intrinsic factor. It's made in the stomach. If you have conditions like celiac or Crohn's, or even take certain medications, that can damage the part of the intestine where B12 gets absorbed, or it might interfere with making that intrinsic factor.
So the B12 is there, but it just can't get into the system.
Pretty much, yeah. It's effectively locked out.
And when those B12 levels do start to drop, the signs go way beyond just feeling a bit tired, right? The guide warns about not just brushing off things like nerve symptoms as, getting older. What should we really be watching for?
That deep, constant tiredness or weakness is often, first, that's usually the anemia starting from not making red blood cells properly.
Right.
But the more worrying signs are the neurological ones. Things like persistent tingling or numbness, especially hands and feet.
That pins and needles feeling.
Exactly. Also, memory problems, maybe difficulty concentrating.
Right.
It happens because without enough B12, that myelin sheath we talked about starts to break down, and the nerves just can't send signals properly. They misfire. So the whole point of testing early, which Blood Test UK strongly recommends, is to catch it before that nerve damage potentially becomes permanent.
So the real benefit here, based on the source, isn't just reacting when you feel bad. It's being proactive, getting ahead of it. And that seems to be the core message for local communities like Congleton too, understanding why regular screening is important for those high-risk groups.
Absolutely. What really comes through is the need for consistency. For people known to be at risk, like vegans, older folks, anyone with gut issues, the guide positions annual testing as just smart preventative health.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's easy, doesn't take much effort, and it gives you that vital check-in, that peace of mind. Without it, it's just too easy for a deficiency to creep up slowly over years, and then you're facing serious health problems that are much harder to fix.
And if you are thinking about getting tested, the Blood Test UK guide says prep is simple. Just fast for about 4 hours beforehand. Water's okay though.
Right, simple fasting.
And importantly, stop taking any B12 supplements for a few days before the test. Why is that bit so crucial?
Yeah, that's vital. You want the test to show your body's stored levels, the real picture of your reserves, not just the B12 from a pill you took that morning.
Got it. So it gives a true baseline.
Exactly. Being upfront with your doctor about any supplements you're taking is key.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for you, the listener? Getting on top of your B12 levels, maybe following the advice in local guides like the one from Blood Test UK. It really translates to tangible benefits, doesn't it? More energy, sharper memory.
Definitely. And potentially a big impact on mood and just feeling emotionally stable, too. It's one of those high-impact, low-effort things you can do for your long-term health.
Yeah, taking control.
Which actually raises a fascinating point. We know B12 is essential for making some key neurotransmitters, the chemicals in the brain that regulate mood.
Like serotonin, dopamine.
Exactly. So given how common things like depression and anxiety are, it makes you wonder, how much could a simple, perhaps annual B12 blood test influence our day-to-day emotional well-being? It suggests that checking this one vitamin might have a bigger impact on our baseline happiness than we realize. Something important to consider as you look into resources like those at Blood Test UK.